Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of 100 Essential Jazz Standards. And today we're going to go over what I would argue is one of the most important jazz standards, one of my favorites, and one that I think everybody has to know, Billy Strayhorn's Take the A Train. Now, this tune was written in 1939 and has a really cool story behind it that I'm sure a lot of you know already. But the story is that Duke Ellington actually offered Billy Strayhorn a position to write for him, which is a really big deal. I mean, Duke Ellington, he's Duke Ellington. So you can imagine how excited Billy Strayhorn was, and he actually moved from Pittsburgh to New York City to take this job and work with Duke Ellington. And Duke Ellington gave him directions on how to get to his house by subway, and he wrote the words, "Take the A Train," which at the time was a brand new subway line that went to Harlem. So I absolutely love that story, and obviously the relationship between Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn will go down in history as one of the greatest writing duos that ever happened in the history of jazz. So you know what we do here. We're going to analyze the chord changes to this tune, which are actually pretty simple but brilliant. And then I've prepared an etude for you. So without any further ado, let's dive into the analysis. All right, everybody, so let's talk about the chord changes here. It's a relatively simple tune, so it shouldn't take us that long. First of all, it's in the key of concert C major. And second of all, the form is 32 bars, A, B, A. So let's take a look at the A sections, because once we understand the first one, we're really not going to have a lot of trouble understanding the other A sections, just minor differences. So we start with a 1 chord, which in this case is C major 7. And then in bar 3, we see it move up to a 5 of 5 chord. So if you think about the key of C major, the 5 chord is G7, and this is a 5 of G, right? So we're using our secondary dominant thing. And in this tune, it's really cool. It's a dominant 7 flat 5 chord, which kind of goes into the imagery of making it sound like a train whistle. Something a little crunchy in there. So we move from C major 7 up to our 5 of 5 chord, and then it's very simple. In bar 5, we just move to a 2, and then to a 5, and then back to 1. And then at the very end of the first A section, we just get a little 2, 5 to lead us into the second A. Okay. Now, the majority of the second A is exactly the same as the first A section, but we do something a little bit different at the end to lead us into the bridge. So I would call the bridge a bona fide modulation. What we're doing is we're modulating up to the key of the 4, which in the key of C is F. So what do we have to prepare us for that? We have a 2, 5 in the key of F to lead us into the bridge. So if we play the second A section, that's the only difference you will notice. Now we hear this. And then we're into the bridge, which, as I already mentioned, modulates to the key of the 4. So now we're in the key of F major. And basically we're just staying there for 4 entire bars. And then all of a sudden we have what I like to think about as a pivot chord, right? So in the key of F, this would be the 5 of 2, basically. Or in jazz shorthand, we might call it the 6, right? The dominant 6 in the key of F. But since we are trying to get back to the key of C, it kind of functions as two things. It functions as that 6 chord in the key of F, but what it's really doing is, again, it's a 5 of 5 in the key of C. So that's what I chose to call it, because really the point of this 4 bars is to lead us back to our home key of C. So we get 4 bars of F major, and then we go down to that 5 of 5 in the key of C. And then similar to the A section, we see that 5 of 5 turn into 2, and then to 5, and then it leads us back home and sets us up for our last A section. which is exactly the same as the first A section. So again, it's a very, very simple tune. A lot of 2-5-1s, and then we do one of the most common modulations in jazz, which is we modulate to the key of the 4 for the bridge, and then the second half of the bridge leads us back home to our key of C. All right? So let's hear it all together, and we'll be on our way here. Let me zoom out to the point where we can see the whole thing. All right, here's the whole tune. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, so there it is. So now we're going to move on to the etude, but I'm going to ask you to do something different this time. What I want you to do is watch this etude, listen to it, and if you have access to all the Patreon stuff, you'll get like an MP3 of the actual etude. I want you to go through this process, which is hear, sing, then play. So I want you to listen to the etude a number of times, just try to get it in your ears, understand what it sounds like, and then I actually want you to try to sing the etude. So you could put on the demonstration track and try to sing along with me playing it. Right? So you're worried about pitches, you're worried about delivery, like syllabic singing, so that it's characteristic jazz style. And I want you to try to go through that process. So make sure that you can sing it to some extent before you touch your instrument. I know a lot of the time our initial impulse is to just like print out the etude or put it up on your screen and play it. But I want you to go that extra step of really trying to absorb it with your ears first, then sing it, and then play it. And I think you're gonna find that some important things happen through that process. So that's my only caveat on this episode. I don't think I've mentioned that on any of the other episodes of 100 Jazz Standards. But try that this time and see if it does anything for you. Okay? All right, here's the etude. Okay, so hope you enjoyed that. If you want information on where to get that sheet with the analysis and the etude in concert B flat and E flat, just look below this video and you'll find a link. Hope you're all doing well out there, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.